welcome back to LTC Heroes Live by Experience Care. My name is Peter Murphy Lewis. I'm your host. It's my last day at the Innovation Summit in Nebraska. It's my last interview, and it's a special one. Her name is Katie White. She's a recreation assistant in Emmanuel Newport House. But more importantly, what we're going to talk a lot about is the pressure when she went to DC. She's the 2023 American Healthcare Association National Center for Assisted Living Congressional Briefing Scholarship. Katie, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Katie, let's see, we can start in lots of different places. We could start off with how you got into long-term care. We can talk about what's your favorite part of the job. We can talk about DC. I think I want to start with DC because
Okay.
I would be intimidated to even apply for the scholarship. I talk for a living, but I don't think I'd feel comfortable talking in DC. Walk me through why you applied, when you realized you won, what happened with your emotions and your nerves.
Gosh, I almost didn't apply because I was so intimidated but I'm really glad I did because it was the experience of a lifetime. I mean, getting to go to DC, it was my first time there as well, so that was a whole nother intimidation factor, but my executive director was really supportive and he really encouraged me to apply for it, and so I did, and then I got the email that I got it, and I was kind of surprised to be honest, but
How did they prepare? What was your prep look like? And were you expected to go speak to your representatives and your senators and so forth?
Yes, yep. So they did really good about sending us information ahead of time about talking points, the major issues going on in long-term care that, would maybe come across their desk. So that was a huge help as far as just preparing. And then just, going there and getting to talk to the senators and the congressmen, we got to speak to three different ones, or I did. And then our group split into two. So some of the others hit the other two. So total, we hit all five.
And what were the talking points that you felt most comfortable covering? And then were there anywhere that were a little bit more technical or legal or around compliance that you kind of felt out of your wheelhouse?
Yeah. So being recreation therapy, I kind of went into it thinking, oh, I'm not going to have much to say. I'm not in nursing, I don't have all those regulations. But the more I read up about it, the more I learned about all this stuff. I'm like, wow, this does affect my everyday job and, especially the residents I care for. And so we just kind of went into it thinking that, um, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's no worries. Just about what were the technical, I guess, where did you feel comfortable? What were the talking points you felt comfortable with?
Yeah. So the big one we hit was the CMS staffing mandate that they're
And you
proposing.
felt strong about that? You
So
had some
that was
opinions?
one, yes, that I was like, very strong about. They really prepared us for that one. There were a few others, like there was a really cool one about veterans and assisted living and getting CMS to help pay for assisted living for veterans, which they don't do right now. So there were a few others, but yeah, the CMS staffing one was our big topic. So
So if there's someone watching this right now who never considered applying for it, what what would you say to them to get them to consider to do it? One, it's important, why it's important for us, but also what will they get out of it?
yeah, so I would just tell them like really you have nothing to lose first of all. Like just apply, put yourself out there. It's going to open some opportunities such as this one. I've never been on a podcast before, so can mark that off my bucket list. But really like for me it was realizing that every day I work on the front lines, and I get to make that difference right then and there for the people I care for. But this was something I could do to maybe help those in the future that I might get to care for. So it's kind of like, just getting to make that step of something that might be a little longer lasting
Hmm.
of a difference. So,
In terms of maturity, I feel like you must have come out of there so much more confident, knowing that you're capable, that you have a right to be there, that you have a right to be heard. How would you put it? I don't want to put words in your mouth. How would you explain it to a friend if they came back and see a new you?
yeah, no, I think that's a great way to put it because it really did help my confidence and, you know, um, recreation therapy is something not a lot of people know about. So that was another really cool thing to get to explain to them what it is I do and how it is that I do play a very important role in everyday life at long-term care facilities.
I want to transition to that, but beforehand, tell me who was the A team that you traveled with to DC, and who you became friends with, and if you're thankful for the opportunity, give them a shout out.
Yes, absolutely. I have it written on my note sheet here that Jaylene, Krissa, and Cindy, they are a force to be reckoned with. And it was so cool to get to watch them work there. They walked around DC like they owned the place, like they were so confident. And just to see that strong force of women, even at that, was really cool. There were some other really cool people from some of the executive directors of other facilities, a few CEOs of companies that, are kind of relevant around this area. So yeah, the networking was amazing as well.
So tell me about your work as a recreation assistant. Let's start off with what's your, no, I'm going to change it. Tell me a special moment you've had in the last year that you feel like you're forever going to remember it, and dive into the details.
Gosh, within the last year, the last year has been fun because we've really gotten to loosen up on COVID precautions. So we're getting to do fun stuff again, outings, that kind of stuff. So the first one that really comes to my mind is a couple weeks ago, I got to take about 5 of our residents fishing. And we actually got to get on a pontoon boat, which is kind of a big deal
That's
because
cool.
the majority of our residents are in wheelchairs.
Uh-huh.
So we got to get on the pontoon boat and go fishing for like 2 hours. And it was just a really cool experience to see them all smiling and just enjoying themselves.
What were their reaction? Do you remember anybody's first reaction or words?
I think they were really surprised. I guess I didn't prepare them enough because they were surprised to be getting on a boat. Like they thought we were just fishing from a dock or something. Um, but yeah, I mean, really just their smiles is what sticks with me.
Why did you get into long-term care? What led you down the path to become the recreation assistant that you are?
I guess I would have to go back to, of course, my great-grandparents. I grew up around them. We would go over several times a week, my mom and I, and just hang out and getting to hear their stories and the history they have um, just really motivated me. And then I became a volunteer at Emmanuel-Fontenelle, it was called at the time, during my undergrad, and fate happened and a job opened up, and I took it, and here I am 6 years later.
If you were to speak at a high school today to a group of juniors and seniors, and you wanted to put the idea into their mind that they should consider becoming a CNA, at least working on weekends or some evening shifts, because they can build a career out of it. They're going to learn a lot from it. They're going to learn some communication skills. They're going to learn some intangibles. Plus, they're going to have an impact on a vulnerable population that's important to all of us. How would you explain it to them if they haven't been into a long-term care community before?
Um, I guess I would explain it as so as far as recreation therapy goes, we are all about giving these people who have been through really hard times purpose in their everyday life, helping them create adaptation so they can do the things they used to love, even though they've had a stroke and can't use one side of their body. It's finding ways to let them know that their life still has meaning. It's still worthwhile. We still are glad they're here, and just that's a day-to-day struggle for us, but it's something, that we've taken on and really enjoyed. So I guess I would just tell these students, like, if you have a passion for people and wanting to make a difference, like long-term care in general, recreation therapy, dietary nursing, whatever road you want to go down, it's like this is a population that really needs us, and it's so rewarding.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining me on LTC Heroes. It was a pleasure. I think Nebraska should be proud that they have a scholar like yourself who won that and went to DC and represented you all. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.